In today's video, we're going to be going through the top 10 prison escapes caught on camera.
Oh, no. And we're watching every move.
In the 10 spot, we've got a guy who got arrested and was inside of the interrogation room at this police station. Here's the thing though, they forgot to lock the window inside of this interrogation room, which, that's a big no-no, and this guy literally, after the officer left the room temporarily, just left out the window, he opened it up, and then sprinted away. I mean, my man bolted.
Can I take this off or not?
Just give me a minute. Oh, no.
Moving to 9, this one's kind of crazy. This involves a guard who helped several inmates actually escape from prison. And these inmates, it's kind of funny actually watching the footage of them doing this because they did it so casually. I mean, they just strolled out at like a brisk pace. But what happened was this woman, she gave these 3 inmates a set of keys so they could just leave. They could open up all the doors and stuff. And then on top of that, she was the security guard who was watching cameras, so she didn't alert anybody. And when they figured out she did this because they caught her doing it on camera, ironically, she got into quite a bit of trouble, and these inmates ended up getting caught as well.
It only took minutes for these 3 inmates to escape from the Curry County Detention Center the morning of June 15th. Surveillance video from inside the jail shows 31-year-old Aaron Clark, 24-year-old Ricky Sena, and 28-year-old Victor Apodaca walking down a hallway before one of the men appears to take out a set of keys and unlock a secure door, making a break for it. A camera in the alley outside captured the men dressed in all white, casually walking away. Back inside the jail, a camera in the control room spots jail guard Serena Dotson alone. She seems fidgety and nervous. That's because deputies say she helped the inmates break free.
And this one's a little bit different. This is actually an inmate who got caught after he escaped. This is footage of him being caught in kind of an unusual way. This escaped convict, he broke out of prison, and about a week later, he was, I guess, looking for some food or something like that. He saw that some people out in this countryside had an outdoor refrigerator. I didn't know people had outdoor refrigerators. I guess I don't live in the country, but he just went and opened it up because he wanted some food, and it turns out that they have some security camera stuff here, including a Ring doorbell, which has like a camera on it, and it alerted the owners. It woke them up, and they ended up calling 911. They showed up and caught this guy.
At 3:28 this morning, Curtis Ray Watson, hungry, mosquito-bitten, and covered in ticks, raided an outdoor refrigerator at the Taylor home. What Watson did not know was inside, Harvey and Ann Taylor had woken up and were watching every move. They called 911, but by the time police arrived, Watson was gone.
In the number 7 spot, we've got some inmates who escaped through a jail toilet. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, they did not crawl down the toilet somehow in some magical way, like some fairy tale movie. They literally pulled the toilet sink thing off the wall, which the toilet and the sink are like the same thing. They're together. It's kind of gross, quite frankly. But they pulled it off the wall, and I guess this prison is kind of like an older one, and it's kind of crappy. It's kind of falling apart. Because literally after they pulled it off and then broke a bit of concrete and some plumbing and stuff, they could crawl outside just straight like that, and they escaped. If I remember right, it was like 5 or 6 different inmates at least went out this hole, and they all left.
They was able to kick out some concrete that was easily broken, along with some plumbing and some other things, and they kicked open a steel box unit that was covering the outside of the access. We've had multiple issues with this facility concerning water breaks, sewage breaks, deterioration of the facility, and it's a never-ending task to try to keep this place and this facility operational.
Real quick, before we get to the next one, make sure you leave a like on this video and also subscribe to my channel, or else an escaped convict is going to be in your closet tonight. Moving to 6, we've got an inmate who is trying to pull a fast one. He was being transported to a medical center or something like that. I'm not exactly sure why, the situation behind this. All I know is that he saw an opportunity and he went for it. Probably not the smartest decision, but I guess it worked out for him for a whole 30 minutes because he ended up being caught about 30 minutes later. Basically, as he was being transported, he just bolted away and ran across a parking lot, managed to get away from this female officer or something, I believe.
Video shows Jason Hale trying to make his escape from an officer while on his way to a medical center. The wild chase was followed by dozens of officers and canine units. He was caught 30 minutes later, but not before a woman pulled out her phone to record it all.
I mean, listen, he saw an opportunity and he said, you know
he was
what?
standing out for sure.
Number 5, this has got to be the funniest one in this entire list, hands down, easily. This involves a Brazilian inmate who came up with an ingenious, just absolutely I guess, creative way to try to break out of prison. And what he did was he was given some items, some clothing and also a mask, and he was trying to disguise himself as his 19-year-old daughter and then leave as if he was her. So he dressed up like, I guess, his 19-year-old daughter would, and then also had on this mask that made him look like a girl, albeit not a very good one. I mean, like, trust me, you'll understand when you see, all right? But the people, the guards there, they realized pretty quickly that something was up. I think you'll be able to tell.
Tira a peruca dele. Tira mais.
Casaco. Não, casaco.
Tira a roupa. Tira o casaco.
Pra poder mostrar a camisa.
Tira o casaco, preso.
In the report spot, we've got a pretty recent one with some controversy behind it. This involves 4 inmates who escaped from an Ohio jail, and that was because they managed to overpower 2 female guards, which this brought up some controversy about, female guards in male prisons and stuff like that, because some rather obvious implications of things that could happen in situations like this, basically because of this situation is brought up. And there was a lot of different opinions on it. You can let me know what you think down in the comments, though.
Around 2 a.m. Monday morning, Clement, Brian Martin, and Troy McDaniel Jr. were captured in the parking lot of a Red Roof Inn in Cary, North Carolina. The 3 men, Christopher Clement, Brian Martin, and Troy McDaniel Jr. were all arraigned later in the day and signed papers waiving extradition to Ohio. The 4th escapee, Lawrence Lee III, evaded police at the time of the arrests, but was arrested a little before 2 Monday afternoon in Durham, North Carolina.
Moving to 3, we had a pretty crafty inmate who escaped from the San Quentin prison, which is a pretty big prison. And I guess he had escaped several hours before they even noticed. He managed to already get a getaway car and drive off and stuff, so he was as far away as he possibly could be. I do believe he ended up getting caught, albeit, like I said, he did carjack this woman, scared the crap out of her, took her keys, and took her, I think it was like a Toyota RAV4 or something like that, and drove off.
It looks like he's got a scar above his right eye and a tattoo on the right side of his neck. And so after escaping on foot, prison officials believe that he carjacked a victim a short time later, and so police are now looking for a Toyota RAV4 with license plate number 6STZ502. Now, this carjacking happened about a mile away at a Home Depot parking lot. The victim told police that Mendoza walked up, motioned under a shirt like he had a and then Mendoza took the keys and fled, and the victim was not injured.
Number 2, this is one of the most interesting ones in this list to me, albeit that I don't think there's any audio, and on top of that, it's also recorded by a security camera that, quite frankly, I think may be even worse than a rotten potato. But this involves a 28-year-old guy who had been arrested, and he tried to bolt from the guards. He was, running from them. He managed to lock himself in a medical room, and when the officers finally got into the room, I don't know if they had to unlock it or something like that, or do some stuff, but when they finally got in there, he was nowhere to be found. Now, this room didn't have windows or anything like that, so they were really confused. But here's where things got real crazy.